who were under the control of the CIA and big corporations. That's all changed very, very recently. And so but the line in the sand now has been drawn in Honduras. This is a fairly easy country to do it, but this is trying to establish a whole new precedent saying, look, we're stopping this revolution right here. And in stopping it, we're also going to undermine these other 10 countries that have already voted in these presidents. And that most of the American people don't have any idea that this is going on, and our media has been very lax at informing us, other than you and a few others.
Well, we're trying to get all points of view and all issues in here, and clearly the CIA was involved in this because they want to keep those people down. It's like that movie Ants. If you let one ant stand up, they might all stand up, and those little ants outnumber us 100 to 1.
The New World Order beast is genetically modifying your food, mixing vegetables with animals, and now experimenting with viruses. Without a long-term food solution, you will have just two options: starve, or surrender. All canned food supplies will eventually run out. What then? Grow your own healthy food and feed your family forever. SurvivalistSeeds.com is now the nation's largest bulk heirloom seed company, and it's owned by a real patriot, Big John Lipscomb. You can now have an infinite amount of healthy vegetables like a watermelon, a bundle of carrots, or tomatoes for a little more than a penny each. SurvivalistSeeds.com. And now you can go into business with Big John at SurvivalistSeeds.com by becoming an affiliate. See his link at SurvivalistSeeds.com.
The new book, Hoodwinked, coming out November 10th. John Perkins, our guest. Your phone calls specifically for John Perkins on a wide range of issues. 1-800-259-9231. 1-800-259-9231. Coming up in the balance of the next half hour. John, you specifically all over Latin America, all over Asia. You were kind of the velvet glove, I would describe it, from reading your book, and also reading other government documents about similar programs, going in trying to, give them the carrot instead of the stick. But when the stick goes in, what happens? And then asking that question, I want to preface it with, obviously, about Blackwater running hit teams, but the media has spun this saying, just killing Al-Qaeda. And that's whoever they say Al-Qaeda is. Now it turns out it's business people, political enemies, business enemies of the White House, actual private Merc teams. We know Delta Force and other groups out of the Pentagon have engaged in murder, but is this new to have private contractors doing it, or are we now just learning about it because of the Internet age?
It's not new at all. It's been going on for a long time. Back in the 70s when I was an economic hitman, we used private contractors. That's the way it's done. The old times of the 007, the government agent licensed to kill, are long, long gone. It's all done with private contractors. It's coming out because Blackwater's coming out because, and as you said, the Internet age is bringing it out. Plus, I think what we're beginning to understand is that terrorism is an insane word. This war on terror is ridiculous. There's no terrorism out there. There are people who practice terrorism, but from many different walks of life. So the FARC members in Colombia have nothing in common with the Somali pirates or Al-Qaeda, and yet they're all lumped under this one ism.
Isn't the war on terror, John, just a global letter of marque by Western governments to kill, steal, destroy, torture, murder, whoever you want, and anybody that resists you is called a terrorist?
That's a great way to put it. Yes, the letter of marque. That's a great way to put it, Alex. Yeah, there was communism, and that truly existed. There's Catholicism. There's all kinds of isms, but terrorism really isn't an ism. There's Al-Qaeda-ism, there's FARC-ism, but they're totally separate. And, this is just a way of making it sound as though we've got some huge enemy out there. What we really get out there is a bunch of starving people, unhappy people, who latch on to fanatical leaders like Osama bin Laden because they don't know what else to do. And they do it under FARC in Colombia. I know a lot of the members of FARC, and I shouldn't say a lot. I know some members of FARC these are farmers who were driven off their lands by big hydroelectric projects or oil fields that destroyed their farming land. They have no way to feed their families. They don't know where to go. So when an organization comes along like FARC that offers to provide them with money for their families and food, they join it. I suspect the same is true with Al-Qaeda and with the Taliban to a certain degree.
Well, John, what about this? I've actually found in my research, a lot of times Western powers and corporations will actually fund the radical group that is bloody and crooked as a way down the road to then successfully demonize the entire indigenous population. So they always push people towards the most radicalized, knowing down the road that will discredit the indigenous resistance.
It discredits you're right. It does do that, and it also creates a huge economy for big military suppliers. So here we've got this war on terrorism in Colombia. Colombia is the fourth largest recipient of U.S. military aid in the world, largest in Latin America, but it's fourth behind Iraq, Israel, and Egypt. Fancy that, to fight what we're saying are narco-traffickers. It's absurd. We're creating a war there, basically, so we can put military bases there, and we can supply huge amounts of military equipment to this country. So we give them the money under the understanding that they'll buy back equipment from us and allow us to have military bases there. Yeah, this goes back to the opium wars of the British Empire and China and India. It's a very, very old tale, and we're just continuing to do it. And unfortunately, a huge sector of the American population falls for it.
We're going to go to break in a moment. Long segment coming up, and we're going to get more into that, and also one of the new constitutions in Ecuador. But did you see I'll ask the question now, we'll come back and you can answer it. Ridge, fellow cabinet members pushed terror alerts. Now, we know Ari Fleischer, back in 2003, admitted they were issuing fake terror alerts at a press conference. And I understand he did it because he knew it was criminal. He never said why, but I was guessing at this. And that he didn't want to get in trouble down the road as if he was involved. Now that's what Ridge is saying, that he's coming clean because he doesn't want to get in trouble. And the news is saying this is clearly criminal to issue fake terror alerts just for political gain. So talk about stage crises. How do these big corporations and governments use stage crises to get the job done?
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
As more and more comes out, Cheney ordering private hit teams and Delta Force hit teams to murder his enemies overseas, corporate enemies overseas. Ridge being ordered to issue fake terror alerts. And Obama is saying no investigation of torture, no investigation of Blackwater, no investigation of any of this. Or he'll do the corporate tactic of saying, I'm looking at it, but then not do it. He's keeping the continual secret arrest, indefinite detention. Can you speak to prosecuting or at least investigating Bush? Or can we just, let him get away with it? What does this do precedent-wise to let them get away with Blackwater and underage girls and all the rest of it? Is there no end? If we put up with this level of evil, what comes next?
That's exactly right. We mustn't. We mustn't put up with this. And I think we, the people, must really speak out. My own belief, I think Obama's in a very difficult spot. I'm not, obviously, I'm not privy to what's going on with him. I'm not a psychologist. But he has to know that Kennedy was assassinated. 2 Kennedys were assassinated. U.S. presidents get assassinated, too. It isn't just foreign presidents. And once you're in that White House, I think you begin to see things that you never saw before. I suspect Obama is getting tremendous amounts of pressure put on him. It's one of the reasons he's been caving into so many things. His own attorney general, Eric Holder, was a partner in a law firm called Covington and Burling, LLP. This law firm defended Chiquita, the big banana company that's now the big company in Honduras. Chiquita was accused of hiring assassination squads in Colombia, and their main defender was an attorney named Eric Holder, who's now our attorney general.
Is that United Fruit?
Chiquita.
What was Chiquita formerly? Was it Standard Fruit or United Fruit?
Yeah, Chiquita was United Fruit at one time. And
so that's the famous folks then overthrowing on record Guatemala.
Arbans of Guatemala, yes, back in the 50s.
Same story over and okay. Sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
Same story. Chiquita, incidentally, was found guilty of hiring assassination squads in Colombia. In fact, it admitted that it had paid organizations listed by the U.S. government as terrorist groups for protection and paid a $25 million fine in 2004. Eric Holder, our current Attorney General, was their main defender then, and now he's defending the actions of the coup that overthrew a democratically elected president in Honduras. It's just another instance, Alex, of how ingrained all of this is in all of our governments, whether we have Democrats in there, including the most liberal Democrat we've had, the current one, Obama, or whether we have conservative Republicans like Bush. The real people in control of the big corporations.